What's going on, you guys? This is Trent here at Rexburg Motorsports, here to do a machine walk around with you. Now, before we get into this though, I gotta tell you, we gotta take a step back. If you remember, back in 2009, Polaris changed the side-by-side industry forever. They swung for the fences, did something nobody else had done, and they came out with the 800S. Now, let's look at some of the specs on this. The 800S was 60 inches wide, had a crazy amount of suspension travel, 12 inches at both ends, and a ground-shaking, earth-rattling 55 horsepower. That's insane. Back in 2009, there was nothing on the market better, and nothing else had been done like that before. When Polaris came out with that machine, it took over the side-by-side game, and it gave them a stranglehold on the industry that they have yet to release on. Now, Polaris for 2020, they just swung for the fences again. They just jumped into the deep end and are trying to do something, again, that is going to change the industry forever. What they did was they came out with an all-new, from the ground up, turbo model. And what they're calling it is the new Polaris Pro XP. Now, I'll tell you, just right off the bat, just to, calm those worries, it's got a lot more than 55 horsepower. It's got a lot more than 12 inches of suspension travel, and it's a little bit wider than 60 inches. So let's get into this thing, and I cannot wait to show you some of these specs. Alright, so let's talk about this chassis. So it's all new from the ground up. Polaris started from a brand new clean sheet of paper. So this is claimed to be their strongest, most durable chassis. One thing that I really liked that they did was they lowered the center of gravity. So that's going to pay big dividends in how it's handling, how it's tackling the bumps, how it's doing everything, is that lower center of gravity. You can charge corners harder, stuff like that. Now, a big thing with this new chassis, every single platform that they made with this chassis so far is 64 inches wide. So now, in comparison with the Turbo S that's 72 inches wide, a big thing that Polaris said at the launch of this was they could charge their corners just as hard in this 64-inch wide machine as they could in the 72-inch wide Turbo S. And that all comes down to that lower center of gravity. Now, with this new chassis, the wheelbase is 6 inches longer. So you're sitting at a 96-inch wheelbase now. So longer and lower is the whole big thing with this chassis. The overall height dropped 2 inches. Overall length is actually 7.1 inches longer than the outgoing one. So you're going to see a lot of things come from that longer wheelbase, lower center of gravity, and longer overall length. Now, the big things that you're going to see is the way that you're going to find comfort in this machine. With the lower center of gravity and with the longer wheelbase, it's going to be a lot more planted. It's going to feel a lot more confident, inspiring when you're coming into those corners, regardless of how many bumps you're coming into. It's going to feel more planted when you are blitzing the whoops, when you're going through the stutter bumps and stuff like that. It's going to give you a more compliant ride. Now, with this new chassis, the cool thing with the way they set the suspension up is they actually got Turbo S travel numbers out of a 64-inch wide chassis. Now that's wild. Typically, the thinner you go, the less travel you can get out of a machine. They went thinner with this machine, but were able to keep the travel numbers up. Now, where there's 3 models of this machine. They've got the Pro XP, the Pro XP Premium, and then the Pro XP Ultimate. I'll tell you just a little bit about the differences. So the Pro XP and the Pro XP Premium come with the Walker Evans shocks. Now the Walker Evans shocks are awesome. They're going to give you tons of comfort, and they are compression adjustable. So you do have some tool adjustment that you can do to make these stiff or softer depending on what you're needing. Now with the Ultimate, it comes with the Fox dynamic suspension, and they're calling this Dynamics 2.0. They've totally revamped every single aspect of the dynamic system. So the way that it's stiffening, the way that it's softening, how fast it's adjusting is all been changed with this dynamic system on this machine. So it's going to give you a lot more performance. Now, I know driving the last Dynamics, that stuff was unbelievable. So I can't wait to see what this Dynamics 2.0 feels like. Now with the engine on this bad boy, they carried this over from their outgoing turbo model. So what they did was, this has still got the 925cc inline twin motor with the turbocharger, but they were able to squeeze out another 13 horsepower out of this. So you're sitting at 181 horsepower. Whenever I say that number again, it makes me think of how far we've come. Like I said at the beginning of this, the 800S had 55 horsepower, and we thought that was wild and crazy and fun. Man, 181. It's going to be a blast. So they also, when they set this thing up, they did a whole new clutch system. They did a whole new clutch ventilation system. And a big thing they said at the launch was that on some of their test models, they were even getting 8,000 miles out of a belt. Granted, I don't think that was every single one, but the fact that they were able to get 8,000 miles out of a test subject machine is pretty wild. So I'm really excited to see how the ones that are going out of here and how the ones that we get to drive, how they handle it. Because, you know, those test riders that Polaris hires, they're not soft on this stuff. So it's going to be a pretty good setup. One of my favorite changes for this Pro XP as opposed to the XP is the change in the interior. I've got to tell you guys, this thing is so much better than the old chassis. The seats are way softer. They're amazing feeling. They really are. They've got good materials. They've got tons of side bolstering. Both the driver's seat and the passenger seat are adjustable forward and back. But a big thing they threw at this is you do have to take the seats out for this and use tools, but there's reclining adjustability, three-way reclining adjustability on the seat. So if you're going out into the desert, you can kind of get it so where you're sitting more so down into it, or you can tilt it up and have it more upright so that you can rock crawl in it a little bit easier. So that's going to be something cool and something new from Polaris. Now, with this chassis where they did drop the center of gravity, you do notice that you sit down in this. It's almost more Can-Am than it was old Polaris in the way that you sit in this thing. So visibility, you know, is a little less than the outgoing model, but it's still very, very good. And again, with that reclining adjustability, you should be able to tailor that to how you like it. Now, with the Premium and with the Ultimate packages on this, they threw something really cool at this. This not only has a tilt wheel, but it's also got a telescoping wheel, so you can move it around, get it exactly where you want it, bring it into you, kind of thing like that. So that's going to be awesome for both short guys like me and taller guys. So you can really customize this setup. Now with this whole interior, they put a lot of push outs for new toggle switches. This thing is set up to run just about as much electrical components as you can set up for this thing. They went to a bigger stator on the motor, so they went from a 660 watt stator to a 900 watt stator. So this is going to have more electrical power just right off the bat, right from the factory, to run stereo systems, light bars, you know, all those fun accessories that we love to throw on these things. So Polaris did a really, really good job here. It's got the CVT still, so you've got your park reverse, neutral, low and high, and again, going all that power to recalibrated clutching is awesome. Tons of storage. The new passenger side grab hold is way easier to adjust. With that last one where you had just the single bar, it was kind of hard to get it to where you wanted it, but then it was even harder to get the push pin back in. Not so much with this one anymore. It's actually way easier to lock, and it's just got indents instead of holes that you actually have to lock in. So it's very, very cool setup. Keep your passenger nice and comfortable too. Now, a big thing that comes with the premium model and the ultimate model are retractable harnesses. I love retractable harnesses. The base model comes with the standard 3-point car seat belt, but these harnesses where they're retractable, you know, it saves you a lot of time. I can't tell you how many times I've hooked into the harnesses and then needed to get something off the dash or need to get something out of the glove box and I can't reach. So that's going to be a good thing. But yeah, Polaris really knocked it out of the park with this machine. We'd love for you to come and check it out and tell us what you think. But I think Polaris has got a machine here that's really going to sell well. But appreciate you watching these videos. And if you could, hit that subscribe button. Keep up to date with all the Rexburg Motorsports videos that we've got coming out. And I look forward to seeing you guys out on the trails. Talk to you later.